How's it going, everybody? So we're back after a little bit of a little hiatus. It's been crazy. I got married. I've been out of town a lot. I just haven't had enough time to sit down and make the videos, play in events, and just have enough time to edit everything and get everything going. But from now on, I do plan on at least putting out one video a week, maybe more. Um, but for this one right here, there's a historic 1K this weekend that NRG's putting on Arena, and I didn't really know what I wanted to play, but I've been seeing all these Lotus decks. I've been playing with them here and there, and I think this version paired with Blood Sun is a lot better than the Azorius versions that are obviously more popular right now. I think this deck has a relatively pretty good matchup against Azorius, unless they're just completely slanting their sideboard all one way, like you'll see in the third video. I mean, the guy, I don't even know what he's doing against aggro matchups. It's like it was completely slanted for control mirrors, which, there's going to be a decent amount of hole breaker mirrors. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, if you've been paying attention to the results, even though hole breaker horror got a little bit of a nerf, I don't think that that's going to change anything much. I still think these are the best decks that there are in historic at the moment, but I also think it's such a wide format. It's like modern. You have to take into account all these other decks. There's still tons of different decks you can play in historic, and people are going to have their pet decks, and they're still going to play them. So I think this deck you can still win your control mirrors. It's also really good against the aggro decks. And I think the deck is easy to play once you get out of the first couple of turns. Once you get your mana going, the end game is very self-explanatory. You can almost do whatever you want to do, and you're not going to be punished for it. So you get the early game set down. You have to make all the tough decisions to get into the late game. And once you get into the late game, I think the deck is really easy to play. And so we're going to run the Considers here because it pairs up good with Hullbreaker and Leer. Spikefield Hazard I think is better than Disruption in this deck exactly, just because it pairs up good with Hullbreaker Horror. And with your Unholy Heats and your Abrades and your Anger of the Gods, sometimes you just need to deal one more point of damage. Spikefield Hazard's great for that. We have a Negate, which is basically just in there for the control mirrors and stuff. It's not great with Leer, but it's just a necessary evil that sometimes it's not going to be online because you have a Leer out, but you still have to have them because you got to counter some of their early planeswalkers in these Azorius mirrors. Tells In is better than Stifle in my opinion. I know it costs one more mana, so you don't get the Lotus on turn 2 necessarily, but it doubles up because it counters their planeswalkers, which is a huge deal. Abrade, it's just versatile removal. You can hit an artifact if you really need to. Narset, Commit to Memory. I mean, that's just the classic combo. Just shred their hand. You draw 7 cards. I mean, at that point, you're basically going to win the game. Archmage's Charm, it's the best counter spell in Historic at the moment, and it obviously it pairs well with Leer and Hullbreaker Horde. You're just going to draw a lot of cards. You're never going to run out of gas. We already talked about Blood Sun. Your Angers, typical stuff. You want to kill these aggro matchups. Anger's great. It's also good against Izzit Phoenix. Versatile removal. Leer is still really good, even though you can't cast stuff on their turn. That's really not that big of a deal because you can't counter anything anyways. So now you're just turning your counter spells that you were using early game. They're now just draw 2 cards, which is great. Can't beat that. I put a Shark Typhoon in the main board because that's just a concession to the Azorius mirrors. You need it. You need threats. You need to resolve something. If you resolve something, you're good. Discover the Formula is a great card because you're drawing 3, which is awesome, but you're reducing all the mana cost, and that doesn't go away. So you don't have to force your Hullbreaker Horror into a bad situation. You can just cast Discover. You're making it cheaper. I mean, it's a great card. The one Opus, it's cool. Early game, cycle it, you get a treasure. You can cast it later with Leer. It's awesome. Just your typical mana base here. You can't run Fable Passage because if you do, it's going to be shut off by Blood Sun. And that's another cool thing about Blood Sun. It will shut off other people's Fable Passage once you get it down, and all their creature lands, which is really important. So in the sideboard, it's basically your typical stuff. You have these 3, Magma Spray, your Lanterns, they're for your, Izzet Phoenix or any other graveyard deck. More versatile removal. I mean, the treasure's good. Sometimes you want to filter 2 cards. I mean, it's great. Your rafts here for your aggro matchups. Your negate. You know, we already talked about negate, but you know you're gonna need it against these Azorius mirrors. Just one burning hand, just in case you run into some of these green decks where you're little, you know, green creatures can be big right off the bat. You know, they might have 4 toughness on turn 3. Well, you know, you don't have a way to kill them, so you just need a little something. Fries for obviously for those Azorius matchups, you can snag their Teferis or Narsets or whatever they play. Just another more commits and Narsets that go in for the Azorius matchups, and then Typhoon and Nezahal, same thing. Your Azorius matchups. So I do think you have to build your decks, really slant it towards dealing with these Azorius decks and these other control decks right now. But I don't think you want to overcommit. You really want to stay. You want to stay focused on what you have in front of you. You want to beat these control mirrors, so we have the things to do that. But you don't want to lose to somebody just playing a bunch of small creatures. You have to deal with those, and I think this deck has the ability to do all of that. Be sure to watch Game 3 because we had a great comeback in Match 3, Game 3. We have a great comeback. I didn't think we really had a chance, but we hung in there, and I think we played it about as well as you could play it, and we ended up winning. So like I said, y'all like the video. If you play it this weekend, let me know how it goes if you decide to play this deck. And I hope y'all enjoy it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're going to be getting videos out there every week. Y'all have a great week, and I'll see y'all next week. Alright, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to keep this. Obviously be better if we had a Lotus, but these are basically just redraws, so I think we'll be okay. That's going to be basically useless this game. Alright, and that's why we run Tail's End over just the regular Stifle, because you get those corner cases like that. So I don't really know what we're playing against, honestly. I don't know, just a red-white mid-range deck, I guess, maybe? Or they might be playing the same thing. They might, could be a Lotus deck. We're gonna have to 2-for-1 to kill this Glorybringer. But he's already showed that he is playing some amount of Planeswalker, so I think I'm gonna take it, and then we'll use the Anger of the Gods and one of these Unholy Heat to get rid of the Glorybringer. Sure. So you also have to remember when if they play a Town Razor Tyrant, you have to set your stop at your upkeep. If you don't, you're not going to get a chance to do anything with that mana before you have to decide if you want to sacrifice it or not. Um, we're going to take this first time anyways. We're going to have to take this. If not, we're going to leave our Hull Breaker exposed, and I don't think we can win if we do that. He might just have us dead here with burn. Yeah, I don't really know how we're going to get out of this. Okay. That gives us a little bit of a cushion. We're just going to hold this back. He could have a small haste creature. We don't want to lose to that. We had to have some things break our way there, but he's mostly playing dragons. We're gonna want our storm drafts. Probably cut 2 angers. Bring in a fading hope. Yeah, we'll keep this. It's a good draw. We'll pass. Next turn we can play Blood Sun and the Lotus and still have 3 mana up. Yeah, that worked out really well for us. Now we're still, we still have our counter spells up. We never had to let our shields down. Yeah, he just doesn't want to play anymore. I don't blame him. So I think there's like, especially with this deck, there's a misconception that control decks are difficult to play, and while a lot of times that's true with this deck, the early game, you have to make all the right decisions in the early game to get it to a point to where you can take over. But once you take over, I mean, the deck is super easy to play. You're gonna start drawing all the cards you need. You're gonna have Hullbreaker Horror out there. It doesn't matter if they amass a big board. You're gonna be able to deal with it. So once you get into the late game with this deck, I think it's really easy to play. The first, you know, until you get to that point, the deck can be difficult. But until once you take over, the deck is super easy. So we're gonna keep this. So it looks like we're probably playing some Gruul deck, if his sleeves are any indicator. Okay, so we're playing Shamans. Sure. I'm gonna slam Narset just so maybe they'll attack Narset instead of us for a turn. Okay, nothing. That's weird. Okay. Just charm. Sure. kind of unfortunate because we're going to miss a land drop, but probably has a collected company in hand, and that Llanowar else was setting it up, so if he misses a land drop, okay. Alright, so here, basically bring in all of our removal spells, and we'll ditch, commit the Narsets, maybe, to negate, and don't think we need the Shark Typhoon. Get rid of a Tails End too. Now we'll keep this. Sure. Definitely gonna keep that. That was a misstep. I don't know what I was thinking playing that. Sure. Now we have to decide if we want to. We can hold up a counter spell. I think we're just gonna go ahead and run this out. And we have to hope he doesn't have another collected company back to back. We're missing our land drops. That's the biggest problem. We're gonna need to. We gotta counter that. We need to get to Hullbreaker Horror so we can bounce this. If not, it's just gonna kill us over 5 more turns. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. It's awful that we're having Oasis on these little creatures, but I don't think we really have much of a choice. Okay, so we can take this. Basically, we're gonna have to fade 2 damage right here. We're gonna take that. Yeah. He's got the line. Alright. We missed some land drops there, and it's hard to do if you start missing land drops in this deck. We'll save the braid for a 3 toughness creature. Okay, so just gonna deal with these. If he has a collected company, he's gonna main phase it. Well, maybe not. Okay. So he really just doesn't have a lot. We're just gonna start drawing cards. And that should do it. Yeah. That was a pretty easy game. I wonder what he had in his hand. Like just all lands, I guess. Wallet Warrior. Alright. Okay, so we're gonna got a control mirror now. Go ahead and cycle this. We really just want to hit our land drops. If we start missing land drops, oh shit. Start hitting land drops, it's gonna go bad for us. Okay. So we obviously want to play our Blood Sun out, and it's gonna good chance he counters it, but I don't really think we have a choice to play around it. Okay, he doesn't. It's absolutely great for us. Hmm. He must be really. He must be really slanted towards creature decks, I guess. Fairy. Uh. I think we're gonna let him do this. Maybe he'll minus it on a Blood Sun or something. Or even if he pluses it, we'll just Unholy Heat it. Then play Leer. Finish it off. And he could have his own Archmage's Charm. But whatever, that'll just clear the way for Hullbreaker. Oh, he doesn't. That's good. Yeah. Sure. What is he targeting? Nothing. That's weird. Hmm. Okay. We'll just draw some cards. It's a good draw. So we do this, and basically our shields are going to be completely down, but our shields are already completely down because the fairy has us blocked off. If he wants to counter this, go ahead. Okay. Definitely bring in our fries, and we'll get rid of our angers, the abrade, and then probably cut two considers. Yeah. We just want to deal with his planeswalkers, and then whatever big threat he goes for. So we never really saw his win con. I mean, he had a Hall of the Storm Giants, but we already have that covered with Blood Sun. This is a little awkward, but I don't think we can get rid of it. That makes it way less awkward. Okay, so we have to assume he has an Archmage's Charm here. So really, we'll wait a little bit, see if he does something, plays a Teferi or something. Yeah, there we go. If he plays a Teferi, then we'll play our Blood Sun, get our Lotus filled in. At that point, we don't care. We'll just keep doing the same thing. We're not in a rush. We'll let him go for something first, and then we'll... It's good enough to get a commit out. Devin's Veto. Good deal. So I think now we're just going to have to play this. Get rid of 2 mountains. Yep. Our Unholy Heat's live, so that's not a big deal at all. I mean, I guess he could have another Dovin's Veto or whatever, but whatever. I mean, if that's what he's gonna fight over, I mean, that's perfectly fine. We'll draw some cards. Oh, he's gonna choose to draw some cards. Our set, sure. Rest in peace. That sucks. So he kind of hesitated there, so I'm assuming he does have another Archmage's Charm in hand, and that's what he's trying to decide if he wants to do. I'm gonna play that for nothing, basically. He does have us in a spot now where he's kind of got us in a lock, essentially, unless we draw something to remove some of these planeswalkers. Now he's just drawing so many cards every turn. It's going to be really hard for us to do anything. We're going to play Lear. Just for our other stuff can't be countered. Sure. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and concede this one. I mean, he has us in the lock. I do kind of wish they would have just left the Teferi, not changed, just left it banned. That would have been fine, or suspended, or whatever it was. Okay. If we hit our land drops, we'll be able to play our Blood Sun. Well, he has Dovin Veto, so can't really fight over certain things. Okay, but that makes it... We're going to shock ourselves here. I wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have already clicked that land, thinking I wanted to play it untapped, but then I decided I didn't. So we're basically going to run out back-to-back Blood Suns here, assuming one of them's going to get countered. Okay. We do at least need one to stick. If it does, we're in good shape. He's just going to have double Dovin's Veto for everything, so whatever. And now we're in a pretty bad spot, to be honest. He pretty much got us here. It's unfortunate. Now he's just reassembling the lock he already had on us last game. uh, just pass, and I guess we'll try to counter this to fairy. Yeah, that kind of means he has another. No, I don't know why he shocked himself in for 1 mana up. Guess he had a mystical dispute or something. Rest in peace. Yeah, I guess I have to take that. I mean, this is gonna hurt when this gets mystical disputed, but I mean, we can't play around it. I mean, we have to. He had his shields down as much as they're ever gonna be down in that exact situation right there. I mean, we had to go for something. Yeah. I mean, his shields will most likely never be down again. Man, this is sickening that this guy just. Oh. Yeah, whatever. I mean, like, I'm. It's. I get that there is a lot of mirrors right now, so understandably, I see all these cards are good in the mirror, and mirrors and control mirrors. But what are you doing against everybody else in the field? Just taking losses? I mean, you're playing 12 planeswalkers and rest in peace. I mean, what interaction do you have in your deck? I mean, look at this. Surprised he didn't counter that. Okay. So if we can get a turn. So you do this, you want to make sure your full control is on, because if it is not, you will get wrecked. I, I might have just thrown that sensor at that tail's end just to get me to tap a land, honestly. It works out great for us. He's going to go for a Shark Typhoon probably. No, he's not. Wow. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go for the commit here. Assuming it's most likely going to get countered. Which sucks. We can't even, because this rest in peace, we can't even do anything. Their second half of it. Sure. Now we gotta decide if we want to fire this off right now. Doesn't seem like a bad idea because we're not gonna have We'll just wait. We're not under pressure. I mean, we are, but we aren't. He'll tap F. He taps out for the Hall of the Storm Giants. We'll intern it. He's not. Okay. We don't care about that. Okay. That's what we've been wanting him to do. We can't tap the Hall of the Storm Giants. So we're going to let him attack with it so he doesn't have a mystical dispute. Whatever. 3 him there. Fry. Okay. It's good for future stuff. He also allowed us to resolve a Shark Typhoon, which is really good for us. And we're just going to put the pressure on him now. We'll just block out of this for as long as we need to. Some point we'll draw a Blood Sun or something, maybe. I still like. I wonder how many slots this guy has designed for. I wonder how many slots that guy has designed for aggro decks and stuff. I mean, what is he doing in those? I mean, with all the cards that we saw, I don't know what he's doing in those matchups. I mean, if I was playing in an exact tournament with like a small field where I thought there was going to be 13 control decks, okay. But I mean, that's why I think that that's why I think the Izzit decks are better than the Azorius decks, even though the Azorius decks seem to be a little more popular. You can close out the game. Those decks have no closing power. I mean, he's running 12 Planeswalkers. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he's doing there. I don't know what the obsession with Azorius is. I think people like to think back. I mean, because I was the same way for a long time. You think about all these. You want to play these old school control decks where you have no creatures, you have no threats, you have no nothing. But it's not the same game as it used to be. There's a lot of differences now. I mean, he's having to hit every single land drop. We had 5 lands on the other side of the battlefield and we had more mana than he did. I mean, the game is a lot different than what it used to be. So I think you have to evolve with the game. Just doing fair stuff all the time, there's a lot of times that's just not going to be good enough anymore. And I think this deck's a really good example of that. You're going to get to play a control game. You're going to have your counters, but your counters work well with Leer. That makes everything uncounterable. It's just, I think this is the best deck in Historic at the moment. I mean, I don't know what it has a bad matchup against. Y'all saw it. You can be in a terrible spot. It looks like the game's over. It looks like there's no chance that you're going to be able to win, and you're able to pull it off. So there you go. And if y'all liked it, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like I said, I'm gonna start trying to post videos every week. It's been a crazy month or two. Getting married, honeymoon, been going out of town a lot. But I hope y'all enjoy it. And like I said, just follow the channel. We're gonna start doing videos every week. And y'all have a great week. And I hope y'all have some success with this deck this weekend if anybody chooses to play it. I know I'm going to. And y'all have a great one.